G'day guys, how you going? Alright, so today what we're going to be looking at is blood vessels. So it's another part of the organisation unit, and I really want you to be able to sort of come with me as I do this mind map and look at the three major vessels that we need to know. Arteries, veins and capillaries. I'm going to give you some detail about their structure and then a couple of reasons why they're adapted that way. So let's start by having a look at these arteries. And one thing that you need to take away early on is that arteries are the blood vessels that carry blood away from the heart. So they're really close to the heart, and they handle the blood just as it's pumped out of the heart. And so they have a smaller lumen. Now this smaller lumen is because so much of their structure is actually dominated by these very thick walls with lots of muscles, muscle fibers, and lots of elastin fibers. Because what these do, that really thick wall, allow it to handle the high blood pressure of carrying blood away from the heart. So when that blood pumps, they don't just explode just like this one over here, because if your arteries explode, it's generally pretty bad, okay? And so those are arteries, smaller lumen, thick walls to handle the high blood pressure that moves through them, okay? And then you've got veins. Now veins, they actually carry blood back from the body back towards the heart. So they do this here, they're bringing it back, which means the blood is at a slightly lower pressure, okay, well at a much lower pressure I should say. And so because of this, they have much thinner walls. You can see that the walls of these veins here are much thinner than the walls of the arteries over there. And this is because of that lower blood pressure, because the blood is at a lower pressure because the vessel is further away from when the heart has initially pumped. Okay, they also have quite a large lumen. You'll notice this structure in the middle, this lumen is quite large. Now this basically just allows more blood to be in the veins. In fact, about 60% of our blood volume at any time is in our veins, so they carry a lot of blood. Lucky last, the last thing that veins will actually have is this series of what are known as one-way valves. And what they do is they just stop blood from flowing backwards because of the low pressure. All right, and they look just like this here. So for example, if you're lying down and you stand up and you get really faint, it's because the blood is actually rushing to your feet. And if it rushes away from your brain, well, you pass out, which is why you get lightheaded. Lucky for you, these valves, what they do is they catch the blood and stop it from all flowing back to your feet to keep it moving in one direction. And so these are really useful adaptations of veins. Larger lumen, one-way valves, and thinner walls because they're dealing with lower blood pressure. All right, and then we've got our last vessel just here, which are these tiny little guys called capillaries. And they exist between arteries and veins. They're the middleman, so to speak. And so they join arteries to veins, and the big thing that capillaries do is they allow the exchange of material. Things like oxygen and glucose can get in and out of them so that we can use them in our body. So they have single cell thick walls, all right? And by having these really thin walls, it allows materials to move in and out really easily, which is their whole function, right? And they are the smallest of the vessels. These are tiny, so tiny in fact that if you look at that cheeky monkey right there, you can see that only one red blood cell can fit through them at any given time. So these are really tiny vessels that allow the exchange of material in and out of them by having these really thin single cell thick walls, okay? And those are the three blood vessels. You've got capillaries, which are the smallest, all about exchange of material. You've got veins, which have sort of thinner walls than arteries and are all about bringing blood back to the heart. And then you've got arteries, which are thick-walled, strong vessels, which are carrying blood away from the heart. So from the heart to the body. All right, thanks guys. Have a good one.